For a woman that is a good candidate for a VBAC, one of the biggest barriers often between her and having that successful VBAC is fear. The woman might have fear that something will go wrong during the birth, that she'll need another C-section, that her care provider that initially said, yes, I'll support you through a VBAC, ends up pushing another C-section on her and not actually being supportive. And the list goes on and on. There can be all sorts of fears that come up as we prepare and go through the VBAC experience. And, this fear, it can make it harder for you to enjoy the pregnancy experience. As I mentioned, it can make the VBAC experience a lot more difficult, as it can kick you into this fight, flight, or freeze response during birth. And for a lot of women, if they're kicked into that during labor, what they experience is the freeze response, and they're not breathing, and there's more adrenaline in the body, and the blood is redirected to defense organs, and the uterus is not a defense organ. So we really want to avoid fear kicking women into the freeze response during the VBAC. But luckily, there are a lot of things that we can do during pregnancy to help to process and release a lot of these fears before moving into the birth experience. So one of the first things that you want to do is avoid scary, traumatic birth stories. So if someone tries to tell you their birth story, stop them and say, I would love to hear your story if it's not traumatic, if it's not going to scare me, if it's like really positive, and if you think it might scare me or might, implant more fears, please just wait to tell me until after I have my baby. In addition, if you come across like an article, a TV show, a movie that is portraying birth in a scary light, skip it. Even if it's supposed to be funny, if it's showing the woman like screaming and in pain, just skip it. And it's especially important to avoid birth stories when you're preparing for a VBAC, because for whatever reason, a lot of people have the compulsion to tell a woman about a VBAC gone wrong or something like that when they find out that you're going to try for a VBAC. And obviously this can trigger a lot of fear. Sometimes even a successful VBAC story can trigger fear if there was a lot of obstacles in that birth experience. So again, best to just avoid these stories whenever possible. And again, you want to keep your mental birth book clear so you can write your own story in it. You don't want to fill it with other people's birth stories before you have your chance to have your successful VBAC. So again, as much as possible, avoid any negative birth stories. You also want to reach out to loved ones that you can trust about the fears that you're having. There was a study published in Industrial Psychiatry Journal, and it found that there was a 50% reduction in elective C-sections when women, experiencing fear of labor and delivery, when they told trusted friends and family members about how they were feeling and then asked for support. So being open about your fears with a select group of loved ones. You want the loved ones that aren't going to exaggerate your fears or affirm those fears and say, oh yeah, you should be afraid of that. You want people that are going to be active listeners and are just going to allow you to, again, simply share how you're feeling. And they're not necessarily going to try to fix it or tell you what to do, but they're just going to be there for you. And then, journaling, meditation, that can be another way to help to start to process these fears. You can also hire a doula, giving yourself that added layer of support during pregnancy, but especially during childbirth. It can be such a huge gift, because doulas, we are specifically trained to help women feel heard and supported during the birth experience. And this can work wonders at helping to, unravel and release the fears that might come up during birth, specifically during a VBAC. Next, if you have a fear come up, count to 90. So there's been research done that shows that it takes about 90 seconds for any emotion triggered by a fear, or any emotion at all, to move through our body if we don't try to stop it. So when you feel, a birth-related fear gurgle up, you can just think, okay, look at that. there's that fear. I'm not going to suppress it. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to sit with it. And then set that timer for 90 seconds, you know, really just like feel the emotions that are attached to that fear, let it flow through you. And then oftentimes when that timer goes off, the intensity of that fear is somewhat reduced. And anytime the emotion attached to that fear comes back up, just repeat this 90-second exercise. And then beyond that, you know, just kind of collect an arsenal of relaxation techniques. You know, for example, taking deep breaths, envisioning trust, love, and a deep sense of calm moving into your mind and body as you inhale. As you exhale, allowing fear, tension, dread, stress to just move out of your body, feeling lighter and lighter with every breath. You could also repeat a mantra like, you know, I'm releasing this fear because it doesn't own me. It is not real. I choose love and trust instead. Or you can simply repeat, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. The meditation at the end of this section, the fear release meditation, is also a really great way to continue to process and release these fears. And the next few videos are some of my personal favorite fear release techniques.